Our story begins with a bang, as sirens wail and explosions tear through Liang City. The night sky is set ablaze by a storm of fiery projectiles raining down from above. Yet through the chaos, a single crystal of pure energy descends, bonding with a young man and forging a new, otherworldly flame. But that was then. Now, we're at a different kind of battlefield. Liang City High School's student assembly. A tough-looking instructor lays down the law about the upcoming placement exam, a test of both brains and brawn. He hammers the point home: only the top 10 students will earn a spot in the legendary Hongji class. Among the hopefuls is Chen Du, for whom this is everything after a 2-year coma nearly ended his dream. His eyes hold a quiet fire. This is his last chance, and he's not about to waste it. But it seems some local thugs didn't get the memo, immediately singling him out for daring to return. Their leader steps forward with a sneer, sarcastically wondering if Chen Du thinks he's some kind of genius. But Chen Du effortlessly catches his wrist, calmly telling the thug to worry about his own test. Fuming, the gang leader stalks off, his crew trailing behind in confusion. He can't wrap his head around it. This kid was a pushover, yet his grip felt like solid steel. One of his lackeys reminds him that fighting now would just get them disqualified. A wicked grin spreads across the leader's face if he accidentally cripples him during the exam. No one can say a thing. Meanwhile, completely unbothered, Chen Du sits down for the written portion of the test. The first question pulls us back in time, to the year 2842, when an otherworldly civilization first invaded Earth. Humanity's all-out nuclear war failed spectacularly, but the radiation triggered a strange evolution. Humans began breaking their physical limits, awakening incredible, world-shattering powers. That day marked the end of an era, and the beginning of the High Martial calendar. The questions delve into the heroes and policies of the High Martial era. For someone who lived through the future, this is all just ancient history. Without a moment's hesitation, Chen Du submits his exam. As expected, a perfect score. This wasn't a dream, it was a memory of a life he'd already lived. He arrives home, announcing his return to his father. His clumsy sister nearly makes him drop his exam ticket. The family gathers around the table for a humble dinner. His father suddenly presents a small bottle, asking him to look. It's vitality powder, an expensive supplement he bought to help Chen Du pass the exam. Chen Du is touched, but his father cuts off his protests, ruffling his hair and promising to always provide for his children. He looks at his father, a small, knowing smile on his face, his resolve hardening. Later that night, he sits alone, the weight of his family's sacrifice settling upon him. He knows that tomorrow's success depends entirely on what he can accomplish tonight. As he sleeps, he's transported to a familiar, desolate landscape of pure ice. This is his crystal space, a personal training ground he's entered every night since his coma. The rules are simple. Monsters appear to destroy a central crystal, and he must stop them. It's a strange system. If the crystal is destroyed, he's comatose for a day. But if he dies fighting, he wakes up feeling more energized than ever. Each successful defense also grants him a permanent boost to his spiritual power. With a flash of steel, Chen Du dives back into the bloody, endless battle for his future. Catching his breath after another brutal wave, Chen Du brings up his status window. He grimaces at the numbers. A spirit of 5 is barely average, nowhere near enough to become an elite martial artist. But there's no time to dwell on it, as the system announces the 5th wave is coming. Right on cue, a monstrous red dragon materializes, immediately unleashing a torrent of fire. Chen Du is already in motion, sword in hand, weaving through the desolate battlefield. The beast follows up instantly, a massive claw tearing through the air where he just stood. And just as he dodges that, its massive tail whips around like a crimson blur. The impact sends him spinning through the air. But this isn't his first rodeo. Has died to this beast countless times, and with every failure, has learned its rhythm, its every move. And this time, he's ready, unleashing a piercing strike the light sword style. Breeze under the forest. The beast roars in agony, its massive body thrashing as it enters a berserk state. Chen Du is thrown back by the sheer force of the dragon's rage, barely catching his balance. He lands on its back, realizing he got careless but luckily avoided any serious injury. The enraged dragon spins around, jaws wide open, ready to snap him in half. But Chen Du just closes his eyes, taking a single, steadying breath. He tells himself to calm down, because this time, he will definitely win. As the beast lunges, he leaps, using its own head as a springboard to vault into the air. He twists mid-flight, sword glowing with a faint blue light, perfectly positioned for a counter. The dragon whips its head around to bite, but he's already moved. A blur of motion. With pinpoint focus, Chen Du drives his attack forward, aiming for the perfect opening. He mocks the beast's size, easily sidestepping a torrent of fire while preparing his own attack. His sword becomes a silver blur, aimed with deadly precision. The blade slams home, cutting right through the dragon's fiery breath. Chengdu knows brute force is useless. His true weapon is unmatched agility. A massive pillar of light erupts from his strike, a flash of pure energy. The attack cleaves straight through the dragon's head, obliterating it instantly. He lands gracefully as the colossal body of the beast disintegrates into motes of light. With the dragon gone, a system notification pops up, congratulating him on his success. He's completed the defensive waves and even obtained a rare mental cultivation technique. But there's no time to rest, as the system immediately warns him. The next wave is coming. His eyes narrow as the next wave materializes. A horde of 30 undead monstrosities. But this isn't a physical battle. He's back in reality, contemplating the trial ahead. He knows he can't pass this level yet, deciding to focus on his new reward instead. Activating the visualization method, his consciousness is instantly transported. He finds himself standing before a colossal, terrifying demon god of pure destruction. A chilling realization dawns on him. Just gazing upon this being is the trial itself. Back in his room, a powerful blue aura flares around him as he starts the cultivation. His deep meditation is suddenly broken by his sister calling him for dinner. As he wipes the sweat from his training, she's stunned by his new physique. He flashes a confident smirk, well aware of the incredible changes himself. He playfully messes with his sister's hair, asking if he wasn't handsome before. She protests, but a sudden blush reveals a startling thought. When did her brother get so attractive? His father also notices the change, sensing a new aura as Chengdu announces he's leaving for the exam. With a confident wave goodbye, he heads out, ready to face the assessment. He soon arrives at the Liang City High School Gymnasium, the proving grounds for all students. Stretching out, he can clearly feel the massive improvements from the visualization method. But his focus is broken by a familiar sneer. It's the geniuses who was suspended for 2 years. A group of bullies surrounds him, mocking him for returning just to secure last place again. Unfazed, Chengdu retorts that it's better than failing his academic lessons, striking a nerve. As they rage, he just smirks, coolly suggesting that if they can't hear him, they can't take the exam. The lead bully snarls, telling Chengdu not to push his luck, but he just smirks back, saying if the shoe fits, wear it. Another lackey quickly steps in, trying to de-escalate before a teacher notices them. With a final threat that he'll get his during the exam, the group turns and walks away. A friend immediately rushes to Chengdu's side, panicking and telling him he's completely done for. He frantically explains that the bully, Feng Rui, is so arrogant because his uncle is now the school's dean of students. Worse, rumor has it the dean already leaked the exam questions, meaning Chengdu is walking into a rigged game. Just as that sinks in, a loud chime echoes through the gym, and an announcement begins. The assessment is starting, and candidates are ordered to group up for the first event, the strength test. They step up to a strange punching machine, learning the cruel rule the weakest score in each group is immediately eliminated. Chengdu coolly takes it in, already calculating how to pass this test, while saving his strength for the combat duel to come. While others focus on brute force, Chengdu has a different plan: win with pure speed. But first up is the big man himself, Feng Rui, laughing about how easy this will be. As the assessment begins, he winds up and unleashes a furious punch at the machine. The impact is tremendous, a crimson shockwave blasting outwards from his fist. His lackeys go wild, cheering for their boss and marveling at his rumored strength of 1,400 jin. One of them smirks, pointing a finger and declaring that with their boss first, someone is definitely getting cut. But that arrogant smirk instantly vanishes, replaced by a look of complete, bug-eyed disbelief. Because a moment later, a flash of violet energy erupts as Chengdu's own punch connects. Feng Rui freezes, staring at the score. 1,500 jin. From someone with a low life intensity, who even is this, Chengdu? His friend absolutely loses it in the crowd, screaming in joyous shock, wondering when his brother got so strong. The examiner in charge is stunned, noting Chengdu's power far exceeds his life intensity. Intrigued by this anomaly, he immediately orders his assistant to bring him the boy's file. Reading it, his surprise only deepens. A suspended student with a previously low martial skill level? Impossible. He decides then and there that he absolutely must witness this kid's true strength in person. The next stage of the assessment is set: a massive combat ring for one-on-one duels. The examiner steps forward, announcing that the combat portion will now begin. And the first match he calls out pits the rivals against each other. Chengdu versus a smug Feng Rui. The other students murmur amongst themselves, betting that raw strength won't save Chengdu from a real fighter. But as Chengdu enters the ring, another opponent steps up, warning him that luck won't help him this time. Chengdu just flashes a confident smirk, telling the challenger he hopes he can keep that same energy. The duel erupts as his opponent unleashes a blinding flurry of strikes with his batons. Chengdu, however, is unfazed, calmly drawing a proper sword for this fight. He gracefully evades and counters, his blade work easily overwhelming the challenger. Knocked to the ground, his opponent recalls his desperate ambition, swearing that he would be the one to enter the elite Hongji class. He channels his rage into a massive blast of energy that engulfs the stage. Yet, Chengdu stands his ground, his sword a blur as he deflects the incoming storm. Their clash intensifies, shattering the very ground beneath them with raw power. A fresh cut on his cheek, Chengdu realizes fighting a human is far trickier than any monster. His opponent isn't done yet, gathering what remains of his power for one last, furious attack. Their final attacks meet in a blinding flash of golden and blue energy. But in that split second, Chengdu finds his opening, expertly maneuvering his blade. The raw power overwhelms his opponent, who chokes, blood spilling from his mouth. With a fluid motion, Chengdu reverses his grip, choosing not to use the lethal edge. He closes the distance instantly, smashing the pommel of his sword right under the jaw. The brutal, non-lethal strike sends Feng Rui flying, knocking him out cold on the stage. Total silence falls over the arena, the other students staring in absolute disbelief. Unfazed, the examiner simply calls for the medical team to handle Feng Rui's condition. But just as Chengdu starts to walk away, a voice calls out for him to wait. It's the examiner, his sharp gaze now fixed on the unexpected victor. Chengdu gives a slight bow, offering a mock apology for accidentally going too hard. The examiner, Teacher Ling, simply places a hand on his shoulder, telling him not to worry about it. But inwardly, Ling is stunned by the sheer skill gap, and quietly orders his assistant to call the principal. With the assessment over, Chengdu walks through the empty school halls, a new plan already forming in his mind. He makes his way to one of the school's high-tech virtual combat capsules. These machines are designed for students to spar against AI opponents matched to their skill level. He reflects that his official rank is only bronze, a laughable title since he's been fighting real monsters, not simulations. Plugging in the power cord, he knows Feng Rui will try to block his advancement through petty politics. But this machine is his answer, as its records are logged on the prestigious Blue Star Youth List for college recruitment. A list so elite that no one in his school is on it. He settles in, ready to shatter the rankings. He plugs in, his objective clear, achieve a high rank, and force the top academies to notice his strength. Inside the digital world, he muses that it's been a while since he used a capsule, deciding to start with a warm-up. His chosen avatar materializes, a ridiculous pig head, of all things. Standing in the empty combat arena, he summons his sword, wondering where his opponent is hiding. In a flash, a purple-haired assassin strikes from behind, her voice mocking his supposedly slow reaction. But he's not that slow, whipping his sword around just in time to parry her dagger. The AI lands, impressed he could block, but taunts him that this isn't a school exam. No one waits for a hello. Chengdu's eyes glow from behind the mask. Lesson learned. She won't get another chance for a sneak attack. He instantly closes the gap, his sword a blur of motion as he unleashes a devastating series of slashes. The fight is over before it begins, as he drives his blade forward with the Pale Dragon Point thrust. The AI recovers, recognizing his Pale Dragon Point thrust, but questions why he used a thrust like a sword move. She lectures him that the application of a martial art shouldn't be constrained by its basic form. Her words strike Chengdu like lightning, a sudden, profound realization dawning on him. But as he processes this breakthrough, another question arises. How could a simple AI know his specific sword skill? While he's lost in thought, she warns him not to get distracted, seeing her opening. He's completely stunned by her raw power, wondering who this mysterious opponent truly is. She pounces on his carelessness, a blur of purple energy as she strikes him down from behind. The match ends in his defeat, a loss for Tskoksk Bear, and a win for his mysterious teacher. Logging out, Chengdu removes his mask, her final words echoing in his mind. Think about the art itself. He begins to analyze his technique, realizing he's only mastered one of 4 forms, a thrusting style, much like an assassin's. He has a sudden epiphany assassins rely on sneak attacks, but his style is far too direct. There's only one way to be sure. He decides to test this new theory in actual combat. The system immediately throws him a curveball, a massive brawler with a giant ball and chain. He grimaces at the matchmaking, wondering if the game has it out for him today. Undeterred, Chengdu rushes forward, unleashing a powerful wave of sword energy. But the brawler counters with his own technique, painting the ground as a prison, a massive defensive sweep. Chengdu answers with a sharp upward slash, golden drums ringing to the heavens. The brawler effortlessly parries the blow, lecturing him that a sword is more than just a blunt instrument. Stunned by the simple wisdom, Chengdu's avatar can only stare back in shock. He changes his approach, flowing like the breeze in the forest to bypass the brawler's guard. The brawler is frozen in shock. The pig-masked swordsman was just in front of him. Before he can react, Chengdu unleashes the pale dragon point thrust, a devastating final blow. The victory screen appears, and Chengdu stares at his hands, realizing he'd never even used that move before. He sinks into contemplation, pondering the true meaning of a sword skill. It's not about being flashy, but about being formless, hard or soft, fast as thunder or gentle as a stream. He understands now that the final technique was meant to teach him that a sword can be honorable, but also deceptive. A confident smile spreads across his face as the epiphany hits. A sword is an undefined weapon. With this new insight, he dives back into the simulation, grinding match after match as his sword art levels up. Finally logging out, Chengdu slumps in his chair, steam rising from his body, utterly exhausted and hungry. But a quiet beep from his wristband brings good news. He's just broken into the top 10,000 of the Blue Star Youth list. He stares at the notification in disbelief. Top 10,000 inches the entire Blue Star Youth list? Curious, he commands the system to expand the details. And the results are even better than he imagined. He's now #1 in all of Liang City. With a grin, he realizes his spot in the elite Hongji class is officially secured. The next day, he walks into Liang City #1 high school with a newfound confidence. But his arrival is immediately interrupted by a condescending voice calling him out. It's none other than the dean of students, Feng Liguo, who also happens to be Feng Rui's uncle. After a dry greeting from Chengdu, the dean immediately starts picking a fight, criticizing his perfectly normal uniform. Other students watch the scene unfold, whispering that this is clearly revenge for Feng Rui's defeat. The rumors are already flying, dismissing his hard-earned victory as nothing more than cheating with banned drugs. The dean swings a disciplinary stick wildly, declaring every part of Chengdu's perfectly fine uniform a violation. But Chengdu is completely unfazed, calmly asking what specific regulation he's even breaking. His simple question sends the dean into a sputtering rage, who roars that he dares to talk back. With a flick of his wrist, Chengdu catches the stick mid-swing, prompting the dean to threaten expulsion for insubordination. Just as he mentions the principal, a new voice cuts in, asking if someone was looking for him. And walking onto the scene are two of the most powerful men in the city, Principal Li Mu and Mayor Wang Anquan. Seeing his chance, the dean scurries over to them, pointing an accusing finger right at Chengdu. The principal, however, just gives him a tired, almost amused look, silently telling him to stop. He then turns his full attention to our boy, confirming that he is, in fact, the now famous Chengdu. The mayor himself steps forward, explaining they came just to meet the new city champion, who made the Blue Star Youth list. The dean's face absolutely crumples as the words Blue Star Youth list echo in his head. Suddenly, the crowd's whispers change tone, realizing Chengdu never needed any tricks to beat Feng Rui. As the principal escorts him away, he informs Chengdu he's being transferred to the elite Hongji class, leaving the dean utterly defeated. He's then led away from the training grounds and straight into a private meeting room. Inside, two other students are waiting, Moret and Lubo, the city's #1 and 2 ranked talents. The 3 city champions exchange an awkward nod, rivals who have never even met. The mayor gets straight to business, announcing a huge tournament for high school seniors across the 100 cities of their district. Each city will send its top 3 martial arts students, based on the rankings from the previous night. A powerful martial artist, level 15 or higher, will lead them to the 100 cities hegemony tournament. But it's the prize that truly gets Chengdu's attention: bonus points for the college exam and a minimum of 100,000 yuan. The mayor leans in with a confident smile, formally asking if they are willing to participate. Moret, always thinking logically, immediately asks why they aren't just using the virtual combat system. He explains that the district leaders all agreed that real combat is a more effective measure of true skill. Chengdu quietly assesses his own power, realizing he's strong enough to aim for the top 3 in the entire district. The mayor adds that they shouldn't feel too much pressure and to just view it as a valuable experience. But without a moment's hesitation, Chengdu agrees, and the other 2 champions quickly follow his lead. The principal beams with pride, praising their youthful spirit before telling them to head back to class for now. As he walks away, Chengdu's resolve hardens. Winning this could finally free his parents from their grueling work. He arrives at the door of the elite Hongji class, ready to start this new chapter. But the moment he sits down at an empty desk, an arrogant voice from off-screen demands that he get lost. A hand slams down on his desk, with the owner questioning if he's even worthy of being there. The challenger is Peng Hu, the class's 10th-ranked student, a mountain of a man looming over him. Chengdu, however, is completely unfazed, looking up at the giant with a calm, almost bored expression. He can't help but scoff internally. Is this guy seriously trying to pull a cheap bullying stunt? Suddenly, another student casually steps in between them, placing a hand on Pang Hu's shoulder to de-escalate. Chengdu is immediately on guard. Realizing this newcomer moved so silently, his life intensity must be levels above his own. Pang Hu grunts, telling Chengdu to count himself lucky that for Moret's sake, hell let it slide this time. Moret turns to Chengdu, figuring that as a new student, he doesn't understand the rules of the Hongji class. He explains their brutal system. Monthly ranking battles determine seeding, and the bottom 10 are forced to stand. The reality of the situation sinks in for Chengdu. The competitive pressure here is far more intense than he ever imagined. Since the monthly rankings are set, Moret explains that Chengdu will have to compete for a seat via a challenge. Chengdu smirks, asking if there are any other benefits to a higher rank besides just a place to sit. He needs to know exactly how much strength he should bother using. Of course, Moret confirms, as he casually takes his place in the number 1 seat. Rank determines your resource subsidy. And just like that, Chengdu's eyes light up. The magic word was resources, and now he's fully invested. A stern-looking examiner with a scar on his cheek enters, telling the class to head to the combat room next door. The students all file into a massive, empty training hall, ready for the trials to begin. The examiner claps a hand on Chengdu's shoulder, explaining he gets up to 3 challenges to prove his worth. But Chengdu only needs 1, stepping forward and immediately declaring he wants to challenge seat number 10. The other students are floored. This quiet new kid challenging a top 10 ranker? They can't tell if it's confidence or just pure arrogance. The examiner watches, privately thinking that Chengdu's life intensity is far too low to challenge the top 10. But our hero couldn't care less. His mind is laser, focused on the 50% resource bonus for 10th place. For that kind of prize, he decides, this gamble is absolutely worth it. Suddenly, a hulking figure with a massive hammer steps forward, mocking the new kid for talking big. Chengdu calmly looks up at his opponent, simply confirming if this is the guy ranked 10th. The brute flashes a nasty grin, telling him it's his unlucky day for picking this fight. With the challenge accepted, the examiner instructs the brawler, Pang Hu, to gear up for the match. He can't help but smirk, surprised that the quiet kid was so eager to make a name for himself. Still, he thinks, a little taste of bitterness might be the perfect lesson for the overconfident newcomer. The 2 fighters take their positions, and with a single word, the match officially begins. Pang Hu wastes no time, roaring that the new kid should get ready to cry for mercy. But Chengdu remains unbothered, a faint aura flaring around him as he thinks, we'll see about that. The hammer comes crashing down, only to be stopped dead by Chengdu's open palm. It's a stark contrast to Pang Hu's mid-swing taunt, who was convinced his opponent was far too slow. The other students are in a panic, certain it's over due to the massive gap in their life intensity. The examiner, however, stares at his monitor in disbelief. Chengdu's level has jumped to 5.2 overnight. Completely oblivious, Pang Hu lets out a maniacal laugh, already celebrating his victory. A heavy thud echoes through the hall, but it's not the sound of a crushing blow. The brute's arrogant expression instantly melts into one of pure shock. He slowly turns, realizing Chengdu isn't in front of him anymore, he's right behind him. With a faint, confident smirk, Chengdu unleashes a devastating palm strike. The massive brute is sent flying helplessly across the entire hall. He crashes onto the mat with a humiliating thud, leaving the other students speechless. Before anyone can react, Chengdu has already disarmed the examiner with a perfect pale dragon point thrust. The teacher is stunned, realizing the boy's martial skill has somehow reached Tier 1 perfect. Chengdu just shrugs it off as getting lucky, but the examiner knows better. A 90% jump overnight is unheard of. He's so lost in his shock that Chengdu has to poke him just to get his attention. Snapping back to reality, the examiner finally declares Chengdu the winner of the match. The entire student body erupts in disbelief he won with a single strike despite a huge level gap. Even the head supervisor, Feng Liguo, is forced to admit they've just witnessed the rise of a true late-blooming genius. Having secured his spot, the examiner asks if he wants to continue, but Chengdu wisely declines, conserving his strength. And just like that, the bully he just flattened, Pang Hu, is all smiles, trying to add him on social media. Chengdu, not used to this sudden popularity, can only offer a slightly strained agreement. Pang Hu practically bows at his feet, begging for forgiveness, and Chengdu notes how quickly the arrogant turns spineless. The examiner watches this power dynamic shift, a plan already forming in his mind. He calls out to Chengdu, summoning him to his office after school for a private discussion. Later, a stern-looking official welcomes them into his office. The examiner wastes no time, immediately asking about early admission slots for the most elite martial arts universities. When the official asks why, the examiner declares his intention. He wants Chengdu to take the special admission path. But the official is skeptical, explaining that those schools require Tier 1. Perfect, a legendary threshold few ever cross. The examiner cuts the principal off. Tired of all the talk, he says they have the tools right here to prove it. He directs Chengdu toward a testing dummy, explaining its maximum rating is Tier 1 high stage. Chengdu calmly steps forward, an air of quiet confidence around him. His eyes narrow, his entire focus converging on the target before him. He raises his blade, preparing to unleash the very power they're all so desperate to measure. With a single, devastating pale dragon point thrust, a beam of pure energy erupts from his sword. The principal is left completely stunned, realizing Chengdu must have just broken through to Tier 1 perfect. The result is a headless, smoking dummy, and Chengdu can only apologize for breaking their equipment. But the examiner is practically buzzing with excitement, declaring that this is the instinct of a true combat genius. He marvels at the boy's seasoned aura, like a veteran warrior, and Chengdu notes this man's intuition is sharp. The principal is convinced. This boy is an absolute martial arts genius who must be nurtured at all costs, setting his sights on a special admission path for him. Chengdu, however, is unfamiliar with this route and raises his hand to ask for an explanation. The examiner lays it out plainly. The normal path to a top university requires a life intensity level that's currently far out of Chengdu's reach. Our boy just listens, his face a calm mask as he absorbs this new information. But the special admission path is different. It's a fast track for prodigies like him, one that will put him directly in front of scouts from the most prestigious schools. Chengdu considers the offer, but he has a question of his own, revealing his true ambition is to attend Mount Huang Martial Arts University. This completely baffles the examiner. Why there? He argues that all the top-tier schools offer the same level of resources, but Chengdu's reason isn't about resources. His mind drifts back 6 years, to a terrifying attack on his city by the monstrous giant race. He remembers the desperate struggle, the sky filled with warriors fighting against impossible odds as the city's defenses buckled. Despite all their bravery, manpower was limited, and the invasion ended in tragedy, leaving a ruined city and hundreds of thousands dead. His reasoning is simple. Born from the trauma of his city's past, he just wants his family to be safe. And if Liang City ever faces another crisis, he wants to be the one strong enough to rush back and save them. The examiner is taken aback, a flicker of respect in his eyes. He realizes this level of awareness usually comes from tragedy, yet Chengdu has it, proving he can shoulder great responsibility. The principal lays out the terms. Special admission is a binding contract, but Chengdu says he'll just treat the other top schools as backups. The examiner explains the stakes. Ace the upcoming tournament for a guaranteed spot, or face a much tougher road on his own. Chengdu calmly takes it all in, thanking them for their guidance and promising to consider it. With his decision made, he walks out of the school gates, his mind already calculating the month he has until the tournament. From now until the exam, he'll live in the exclusive training room the school provides, dedicating every moment to getting stronger. His first stop? The Technology Martial Palace, where he plans to find something to accelerate his progress. In this world, there are 3 great powers that protect the future of martial civilization. First is the Extreme Martial Palace, humanity's shield against alien threats. Then, the Technology Martial Palace, focused on elevating humanity's latent strength. And finally, the Martial Artist Alliance, the enforcers who maintain public order. Chengdu's target is, of course, the Technology Martial Palace, a place whose founder is hailed as a legend. He strides into the Grand Hall and immediately requests to purchase 3 boxes of Thunder Chi blood pills. The receptionist is taken aback. That's not exactly an over-the-counter request. She informs him that a potent medicine like that cannot be bought directly. An endurance test is required first. Leading him to a testing room, she explains the pill is incredibly dangerous for those who can't control its power. But Chengdu is unfazed, placing his hand on the console and confirming he is ready to begin. Having aced the test without breaking a sweat, Chengdu turns to leave. The receptionist is left utterly baffled, questioning what just happened. He walks out coolly, his mission accomplished, not even bothering to explain himself. Now in a private room, he examines the 3 pills, ready for the next phase of his plan. He recalls the test that was only half the pain of a single pill. A complete joke to him. If he takes all 3 at once, the pain will be 10 times what he just felt, but he thinks he can manage. Without a second of hesitation, he tosses all 3 into his mouth. The effect is instantaneous as raw. Electrifying energy surges through his entire body. An agonizing scream is torn from his throat, every nerve alight with searing power. But as the storm rages, a grim smile forms. This pain? This is nothing. He pushes through. A system notification confirms the success of his brutal training. His life intensity has ticked up to 5.3. He glances at his remaining pills, doing a quick calculation. His aggressive pace means his funds will dry up in just 55 days. There's only one solution then. He'll have to dominate the 100 Cities Hegemony tournament to fund his rapid growth. But then the backlash hits. His entire body seizes up, paralyzed by the very thunder power he just absorbed. He doesn't panic though. If his body is out of commission, it's the perfect time to enter the crystal space and train his spirit. The next morning, he feels the difference. A full night of battling giants in his mind has sharpened his mental power considerably. He arrives at school just in time to see the resource supply ship landing. The day's already looking up. In class, a new face appears. A striking red-haired teacher introduces herself as Yadi, a mental power expert from the Martial Artist Alliance. Chengdu immediately takes notice. This is a special class for Tier 2 mental power users, and he can tell this teacher's life intensity is a staggering 15 or higher. She explains that mental power is the ultimate multiplier, demonstrating its raw potential with a casual, desk-shattering press of her hands. She explains that while martial arts disperses strength, mental power can focus it for explosive results. Chengdu listens intently, noticing the other students aren't surprised at all. They must already know this. Ya Di gives a word of caution, however. For their exams, life intensity is still the main priority. With the lecture over, she pulls out a small flute, crackling with energy, and announces a mental power test. All the students rise from their desks, preparing for the assessment. But then, she turns specifically to Chengdu, telling him he can choose not to participate. He's confused for a moment, singled out in front of the whole class. He quickly realizes she thinks he's too weak and will just embarrass himself. He immediately agrees to join. Ya Di just smirks, amused by his youthful pride, but she's convinced he's in over his head. She decides to let him fail, planning to counsel him afterward as she brings the flute to her lips to begin. The other students cheer him on, fully expecting to watch him fail spectacularly. As Ya Di begins to play, a wave of purple energy washes over the classroom. In an instant, a shadowy manifestation of the mental attack forms right in front of Chengdu. He instantly recognizes it, a spiritual hypnosis meant to physically overwhelm him. But he meets the attack without a hint of fear, as if swatting a fly. Ya Di falters, her eyes wide with shock at his complete lack of struggle. The boy isn't even flinching. He's just standing there, looking as relaxed as can be. She has to admit, his spiritual resilience is far greater than she ever imagined. A smirk plays on her lips as she decides to crank the difficulty up a notch. Meanwhile, the other students are already collapsing, unable to bear even the first level. Ya Di smirks, noting that most have failed, her eyes now locked onto her true target. But her confidence instantly shatters when she sees Chengdu, completely unfazed by the assault. The other students are in awe. Not only is he a martial prodigy, but he has spiritual talent too. Even Pang Hu grins from the sidelines, realizing his loss was to an absolute monster. The proctors stare, a silent understanding passing between them as they watch this unfold. They realize this kid has the raw talent to aim for the legendary 3 great academies. Ya Di's expression hardens. If level 7 was a joke to him, then she'll just have to unleash level 8. For the first time, a sound of exertion escapes Chengdu as the pressure intensifies. A towering spiritual construct, a phantom brawler, materializes right in front of him. But he doesn't just endure the psychic assault, he charges forward, meeting it with his own furious strikes. A crushing weight descends, a spiritual attack so heavy it feels physical. But even as his body screams, Chengdu roars back, refusing to be broken. Ya Di can only stare in disbelief. He's a martial prodigy who can use his spirit to bolster his body, a perfect warrior. The news spreads like a shockwave, a student rushing to the principal's office with the unbelievable report. In the observation room, the examiner confirms it personally. What they're seeing is real. The principal's mind races, realizing this kid has the potential to become a level 20 skywalking warrior. A genius like that can't be wasted here. He must attend one of the 3 great academies. With a sharp salute, the examiner accepts his new mission: persuade Chengdu to aim higher. Moments later, Chengdu arrives at the office, completely unaware of the life-changing conversation about to happen. The examiner starts simply, asking him what he knows of Black Dragon University, one of the most elite schools in the nation. He explains that these schools don't hold normal exams. They only scout geniuses with skywalking warrior potential. The requirements are transcendent, near-perfect life strength and mastery of martial skills. The examiner lays out the harsh reality: most can't afford the supplements needed, and their best training window closes. But Chengdu doesn't hesitate, declaring he will try, even as he internally fears this path might mean leaving his family forever. Pleased, the examiner tells him that with his talent, the 8 great schools are a guaranteed backup for the real prize. Chengdu centers himself, deciding to focus on the 100 Cities tournament first. The future can wait. Back at home, the weight of his decision lingers as his mom calls him for breakfast. His sister watches him, noticing something is different about her brother lately. He seems fitter, more handsome, and carries a new air of mystery she can't quite place. At the table, he announces his plan. He's moving to the school to focus entirely on training for the tournament. His sister immediately voices the family's concerns: will he be okay? And how can he even get a dorm room now? But Chengdu just smiles, calmly reassuring his mother that the school has provided him with special resources. He explains that as a Hongji class student, he gets his own private training chamber. His father, however, cuts through the worry with a proud grin, telling his son to keep that drive. With a look of pure confidence, he tells him to just charge ahead, and they'll have his back. Having settled their fears, Chengdu stands, announcing it's time to head to school. The whole family sees him off, his sister now shouting for him to come back as the champion. At the school, he finds an astonishing amount of cultivation supplies waiting for him, a massive investment. He steps up to his personal chamber, his resolve hardening. From now on, it's nothing but training. The door slides open, and he steps forward into his new, solitary path to power. Inside the chamber, Chengdu doesn't waste a second, ordering the system to increase gravity to 5 times the normal amount. The crushing weight instantly slams down on him, a pressure equivalent to 15 adult men. With the difficulty set, his opponent for the 4th round materializes a towering boxing robot. It lunges forward with a massive punch, and Chengdu knows instantly he can't take that kind of force head-on. He twists his body, letting the heavy blow whistle past him as he changes his attack trajectory. The system's cold voice immediately chimes in, noting his high evasion but also his inefficient energy use. The robot adapts, throwing high and low punches simultaneously to completely seal off his escape routes. But a smirk plays on Chengdu's lips. If he can't dodge, then his opponent will just have to share the burden. Planting his foot firmly on the robot's arm, he uses it as a launch pad. He vaults over the attack, bringing his sword down in a powerful arc to counter the machine. With a clean slice, the robot's head flies off, steam hissing from the fresh cut. But the machine isn't done, activating a last resort as its limbs contort and stretch to ensnare him. Caught in a bizarre hold, Chengdu calmly tells his system to turn off the gravity simulation. The fight over, he immediately begins meditating, absorbing the mental power gained from the victory. His mental power level increases, but as he tries to stand, a jolt of pins and needles shoots up his leg. He's completely drained, his mind exhausted and his body still aching from the ordeal. Realizing he can't push any further, he decides the only solution is to get some rest. He lies back, but his eyes snap open. This is no ordinary sleep. Instead, he's transported to a vast crystal space, a realm for refining his martial arts skills. Planting his foot firmly on the crystalline ground, he prepares for the next round of training. Before him stand the green firefly giants, the very same monsters he couldn't even scratch last time. But now, a new resolve burns in his eyes. This time, he won't just fight. Hell, understand. His focus pierces through their defense, and he finally sees their secret. The green patches aren't armor, but healing energy. Suddenly, it all makes sense. They're just simple-minded brutes with a regeneration gimmick. And after his brutal gravity training, moving in this space feels like flying. He launches himself forward. He weaves through the air, his body light and his movements impossibly fast, dodging a clumsy swing with ease. With pinpoint accuracy, he targets that glowing green core, plunging his sword deep into the giant's chest. The blade flashes, and the creature's life force is snuffed out in a storm of slicing energy. He stands tall as the phantoms of his defeated enemies fade away, the feeling of effortless power coursing through him. With this kind of growth, a spot in the top 100 of the 100 Cities tournament feels well within his grasp. The day has finally arrived. In the sprawling metropolis of High City, the 100 Cities tournament is about to begin. Chengdu and his team step into the luxurious hotel, but while his friend gawks, he's already focused on the mission. Yet trouble finds him almost immediately for some reason. The staff won't let him sign in, and he's not the only one. A furious swordsman named Wu Zong slams his hand on the counter, demanding an explanation. He looms over the terrified receptionist, his patience clearly at its end. A dangerous energy begins to crackle around his hand. He's not just making a threat. He's ready to draw blood. The raw power radiating from him is immense. Even Chengdu is taken aback, realizing this man's sword intent is no weaker than his own. But just as things are about to escalate, a calm voice cuts through the tension, belonging to a young woman with striking purple hair. She instructs the staff to let the man register, but with a simple, cutting condition. His teammates are disqualified. The crowd erupts in whispers. It's Zhou Xiaogu, the Sea Princess, and her presence alone commands the entire room. A nearby contestant smirks, telling Chengdu to give up any ideas he might have about the Sea Princess. He explains she's Zhou Xiaogu, daughter of a principal, a true prodigy with power and wealth completely out of his league. But as Chengdu stares, a memory flashes through his mind. He's definitely seen that face before. It's her, the sneaky attacker from the virtual battle. The girl who sold nuclear bombs and ambushed him. He can't believe his online rival is real, and a grin spreads across his face. This tournament just got a whole lot more interesting. Later, back in their designated room, the team settles in for a briefing. Their examiner arrives with an unexpected announcement. The rules have changed, and there will now be a badge capture battle before the eliminations. Chengdu and his team listen intently, wondering what this sudden twist could mean. The examiner lays out the plan for the first round, a 3-day tournament starting tomorrow with a hunt in the forest. Their objective: find 2 specific badges, Gao and Wu, within 13 hours and reach the endpoint to qualify. Chengdu cuts straight to the point, asking how many badges there are in total. The second round, the examiner continues, is a grueling 1v1 elimination tournament, with almost no rest. Meanwhile, his teammates are just glad they won't have to face Chengdu, the absolute monster, on their own side. The third round is the final showdown, and while just reaching it is an honor, the top 3 spots come with unimaginable rewards. But he warns them that it's a 3-day battle of attrition. The winner won't just be the strongest, but the most well-rounded. He holds up a finger, a serious look on his face, signaling one final, crucial piece of information. Killing is absolutely forbidden. Their true enemies are out among the stars, not standing beside them in this arena. To ensure a fair fight, everyone will wear special suits that equalize their life force, with team leaders secretly supervising. But he adds with a grin that if he has to step in, it means automatic elimination for them. With the rules laid out, Chengdu and his team are fired up, their voices joining in a determined shout of acceptance. The final round begins, and the contestants find themselves not in an arena, but staring out at a vast unknown forest. An organizer steps forward, introducing himself as Principal Zhou Cheng of Haicheng High School. He explains the gate before them leads to a spirit realm, a dimensional rift called the Forest of Wolf Spirits. Chengdu's eyes narrow. He knows spirit realms are dangerous alien spaces, filled only with monsters. The principal assures them this one is stable, personally certified as safe by the world's 3rd strongest warrior. Still, he gives them a grim warning. Even with precautions, the trial carries a very real risk of death. His gaze lands on a lone swordsman, Musashi, warning him that he won't be allowed to act independently. Chengdu observes the warrior's annoyed scowl. This guy clearly has a problem with authority and teamwork. With the rules set, the principal turns and activates a panel, passing an iris recognition scan. The massive gates slide open, revealing the shimmering entrance to the forest as the final test is about to begin. The students gather on a massive, glowing magic circle, the gateway to the Forest of Wolf Spirits. The principal explains this array is their lifeline, a secret teleportation grid built as a failsafe. He lays out the rules. They'll be scattered randomly, and out of 300 markers, only 100 contain real badges. With the briefing over, the magic circle flares to life, enveloping all the students within its light. A blinding flash of energy erupts, signaling the activation of the mass teleportation. Chengdu instinctively throws up a hand to shield his eyes from the overwhelming surge of power. He opens them to find himself in a vast, sun-dappled forest. The spirit realm is real. His friend immediately brings up a holographic map, asking where they should even begin their search. But Chengdu just smirks, pointing to a nearby signal. Looks like they got lucky with their drop point. Moret is all in, trusting Chengdu's confident lead completely. And just as predicted, they find a concrete marker nestled in the forest. A metallic badge suddenly shoots out from a hidden slot, leaving behind a glowing blue button, practically begging to be pressed. Chengdu reaches out to claim his prize, but is stopped cold. Another student, with the same sharp golden eyes, suddenly appears and tells him to find another marker. But that cocky smirk vanishes as his eyes narrow, sensing immense danger. He shouts a warning, yanking Chengdu backwards by the collar without hesitation. 2 massive spears slam into the ground right where he was standing just a second ago. The rival can't believe it, admitting he didn't expect anyone to be faster than them. But their brief truce is shattered as new challengers step into the clearing. The ambushers reveal themselves, the Kun City team, demanding their badges immediately. They're known powerhouses, hailing from a city with far greater resources. Back in the spectator hall, the audience watches the first encounter of the tournament unfold. The Kun City principal smugly offers to buy Liang City's plane tickets home, already declaring victory. On the battlefield, however, Chengdu just smirks, unimpressed by their blustering threats. The leader's face darkens, his patience wearing thin as he demands they surrender. But Chengdu just leans in, challenging the notion that a bigger city means a stronger student. That's it. Enraged, the leader lunges forward, vowing to make them the first team eliminated. The leader, Li Yuan, lunges forward, boasting that he's destined to be the Spear King of Kun City. Feng Rui grits his teeth, ready to jump in and teach this guy a lesson. But Chengdu calmly steps up, telling his team to just leave this one to him. He's going to handle this little welcoming party all by himself. The three ambushers sneer, leaping down with a synchronized attack they think is unstoppable. With a single draw of his sword, Chengdu meets all three spear points head-on. The impact sends a shockwave, and Li Yuan's face twists in disbelief. He stopped all of them? He can't comprehend it. Everyone's life intensity is capped, so this kind of power difference shouldn't exist. But Chengdu is already analyzing them, noting their leader is decent, but his two lackeys are far behind. A cold glint in his eye reveals he's already seen through their entire formation. He decides to show them the difference, channeling level 9 mental power directly into his blade. With a single, overwhelming counterslash, he shatters their combined assault in an instant. His flowing light sword art erupts, painting the very ground around them into an inescapable prison of energy. One of the henchmen is sent flying, crashing brutally into a nearby tree. And just like that, Chengdu's sword slams down, pinning all three of their spears to the earth. The trio is forced to their knees, unable to budge their weapons. How is his one sword heavier than all three of their spears? Sweat pours down Li Yuan's face as the crushing reality of Chengdu's strength finally sinks in. With his men down, he grits his teeth, thinking his only chance is to take down the strongest one first. But Chengdu is already preparing his second stance, his expression utterly unimpressed. A simple flick of his finger on the blade sends a sharp ring through the air, a prelude to their final defeat. A teacher steps forward, noting the sheer power behind that single sword strike. But Li Yuan isn't ready to give up, shouting that he can still fight. The teacher calmly shuts him down. Just tearing his clothes proves Chengdu's attack has reached level 7 life intensity. He adds that even if Li Yuan had blocked that attack, he would have never survived the second one. Inwardly, the teacher is stunned. This kid's talent is off the charts, a future force to be reckoned with. From the shadows, another examiner departs, intrigued by Chengdu's performance and looking forward to the finals. Now humbled, Li Yuan asks for his name, admitting that he rarely acknowledges anyone as his superior. Chengdu just smirks, telling him his name is the one that will be announced for first place. And this entire humiliation unfolded right on stage, in the High City School auditorium. In the stands, the visiting principal can only stew in silence, as his colleague mocks him for the crushing defeat. Meanwhile, the city officials are impressed, noting the high number of perfect Tier 1 martial artists this year. But in the stands, the crowd murmurs in confusion, watching Chengdu's team head for the exit with only one badge. The next stage of the competition begins within the misty confines of the Forest Wolf Woods. Chengdu's teammates are in shock, realizing he's not just passing through, he plans to hunt down Wu Zhang. He confirms it with a cold confidence, stating that simply grabbing 2 badges is beneath his current strength. His ambition is clear, his gaze sharp with resolve. He's here to win the entire championship. But it's not about glory. He explains that he desperately needs the 1 million prize money to survive. He begins to lay out the cold hard facts of their situation, mapping out the path to victory. There are 3 key threats, 2 from the High City team, and the lone wolf from Lu City, Wu Zhang. Lubo thinks it's reckless, but Chengdu counters, if he doesn't eliminate Wu Zhang now, he may not even place in the top 3. He lays out the tournament like a chessboard, explaining the host city's inherent advantage. With cold, calculated eyes, he reveals the flaw in their system. He asks them to consider the endgame. Could he really beat 3 Tier 1 prefects back to back? The realization finally hits his teammates. This isn't just reckless hunting. It's a counter to a rigged game. Chengdu acknowledges the immense risk. If this plan fails, they all go home in the first round. But they're in. They know their limits and trust his judgment, asking the only question that matters: how will they even find him? Chengdu smirks. Wu Zhang's arrogance is his greatest weakness. Hell go where the most badges are, and that's their opening. They just need to intercept him on his way to the main hunting ground. Their strategy is simple: set up an ambush at a choke point and wait for the predator to walk into their trap. With the plan set, the four of them march into the misty forest, ready to bet it all. From a cliffside perch, Wu Zhang and his lackeys look down like kings surveying their domain. Below, a team of unfortunate students is getting torn apart by a vicious, hulking beast. Wu Zhang recognizes the creature instantly, a BB wolf, something that should never appear here. The exam guide is officially worthless. A sudden, chilling realization hits him. Could all the monsters be from the forbidden spirit realm? The students on the ground are desperate, and one of them screams Wu Zhang's name, blaming him for this mess. The beast lunges past the frontline defenders, its claws aimed directly at the terrified girl. Her teammate makes a desperate dive to shield her, but it's a futile gesture against such power. But just before impact, a blinding flash of blue energy intercepts the attack, stopping the claws dead in their tracks. A lone figure now stands between the students and the monster, a silhouette crackling with power. It's Chengdu, sporting a new scratch and a wry smile, asking if anyone's seen a guy named Wu Zhang. The rescued students quickly explain what happened. They found Wu Zhang fighting a swarm of monsters. They were planning to retreat, but got targeted by this beast and chased all the way here. With a trembling hand, one of them points deeper into the mist, showing where the battle took place. Chengdu's mind immediately starts working. There are no badge markers in that direction. An unusual situation means an opportunity. Wu Zhang must be nearly out of stamina by now. A cold smile plays on his lips as he gives the simple command to go. His team takes off, with one of his friends asking if he has a battle plan. But Chengdu cuts him off, a sudden ominous feeling washing over him. He orders them to follow his commands without question, and his companions sober up instantly. As they race towards the fight, the true predator lies in wait, its crimson eye glowing in the dark. They press on through the eerie forest wolf woods, a sense of unease growing. Moret finally breaks the silence, wondering if they took a wrong turn since Wu Zhang is nowhere to be found. But Chengdu suddenly halts the group, his senses screaming that something is wrong. A cold sweat trickles down his neck as the pieces click into place. They've been tricked. His friends turn, and their blood runs cold as demonic wolves emerge from the shadows, surrounding them. Chengdu realizes the student's story was a lie to lure them here, a classic ploy to let monsters do their dirty work. Peng Hu clenches his fists, seeing a whole den of 20 wolves ready to pounce. But Chengdu is already barking orders, warning them not to bleed, as it drives these beasts into a berserk frenzy. With a flash of light, he's the first to move, his sword meeting the claws of the alpha wolf. Meanwhile, unseen observers comment that the Liang City team has foolishly stumbled into a death trap they can't escape. The officials from Liang City are already in a full-blown panic, certain their team is about to be eliminated. One of the exam organizers asks for an honest assessment of their chances. The answer is brutal and swift. Less than 10%. He explains that this whole exam was designed to shatter the egos of these young geniuses. The entire layout is a trap. The badges they need are intentionally placed behind these monster dens. So while a few wolves might be a test, running into a full den of 20 is just catastrophic bad luck. Another official smugly boasts that his own high city team, with his daughter and another prodigy, would have no such trouble. But back in the dungeon, Chengdu cuts through the first wolf like it's made of paper, unimpressed by its weakness. He stands over the fallen beast, not even breathing hard from the exertion. Excellent, he thinks. He's drawn the pack's attention. Now all his friends have to do is hold their ground. But his friends are already breaking, Moret screaming Chengdu's name in terror as a wolf closes in. Peng Hu roars for Lu Bo to wrap up his fight so they can help their leader. But Lu Bo is already locked in a desperate struggle, barely holding off 3 wolves on his own. Chengdu, meanwhile, has his own pack to deal with, unleashing his second sword stance to lock them down. He flows seamlessly into his third and fourth forms, his blade a whirlwind of light. With a final, devastating arc, he cuts down every last monster in his immediate vicinity. Yet, as the last wolf falls, a scowl of frustration crosses his face. He can feel the team struggle, with Peng Hu, their supposed ace, seething at his own uselessness. Chengdu's eyes narrow as he finally gets a read on them. These BB wolves are far stronger than expected. He sees Lu Bo barely managing a stalemate, completely pinned and unable to support anyone else. He's so close, yet he can feel his power is still lacking that final, crucial bit. The wolves, however, give him no time for reflection, their roars echoing through the field. One lunges forward, a blur of muscle and razor-sharp claws, but Chengdu meets the chaos head-on, erupting into a vortex of blue energy. He knows they have 2 minutes to thin the herd, or they're all dead. His sword must be faster. Then, in the heat of battle, something clicks, and his movements find a new, perfect rhythm. A smirk flashes across his face. He's found the balance, a real chance to win this. but his focus is shattered by a desperate cry. Mored's arm has been slashed. He glances over to see his teammate completely surrounded, clutching his bleeding arm. Mored can only look on in shame, stammering an apology for his critical mistake. Chengdu roars a warning the wolves are about to go berserk, and they need to run. Now. But while his team hesitates, he dives headfirst into the danger, intercepting a charging beast. He becomes a phantom of blue lightning, effortlessly evading the creature's snapping jaws. With a final, devastating blow, he smashes the wolf into the ground, clearing a path. He tells Mored he's staying behind to hold them off. It's the only way they'll pass this round. Seeing their hesitation, Chengdu shoves them forward, forcing them to retreat while he stands his ground. As his teammates flee, he faces the pack alone, knowing their berserk state makes them mindless killing machines, and a cold smirk spreads across his face. He's fought 30 of these in the crystal space. This is just a refresher. The remaining wolves howl as their bodies contort, transforming into hulking, bipedal monstrosities. One lunges forward with blinding speed, but Chengdu simply waits, ready to greet the carnage with his blade. The beast's claws screech against his sword, the raw force of the impact shaking him to the core. He grits his teeth, a level 7 life intensity? This is far beyond what a normal berserk state should grant. But this desperate battle is nothing more than a show, broadcast live for the examiners in the school auditorium. Some of them are already writing the team off, scoffing that this is where their journey ends. Yet, a man named Li Mu watches intently, finding the boy's resilience to be impressive, almost strange. His colleague, Wang Anquan, agrees, revealing head-checked Chengdu's file. The kid had never left his small city before this. Li Mu considers this, initially chalking it up to the unpredictable nature of raw talent. But Wang Anquan clarifies that it's not his proficiency, but his very fighting style that's so unnatural. Leaning in, his voice drops, filled with a dawning sense of disbelief. The boy's movements, his near-perfect perception, it's the style of a hardened soldier who survived the front lines. Li Mu is left speechless, the implications of this revelation settling in. A kid with no background fighting like a veteran against spirit realm wolves, it just doesn't add up. Back in the simulation, Chengdu is completely surrounded, a lone warrior against a sea of claws. He stands his ground like a forest guardian, deflecting one frenzied attack after another. But inside, his mind is racing, calculating the pack's strength and realizing they're tougher than his last opponent. He unleashes a powerful arc of energy, the thundering war drums, to blast the beast's back. Using a tree to pivot, he masterfully repositions himself, refusing to be cornered. He knows he can't win a battle of attrition. He has to find the key to breaking their formation. Then, his eyes narrow, focusing past the frontline attackers to a single wolf in the back. That's the one. His strategy forms in an instant: catch it off guard, and take out their hidden support unit first. With a burst of speed, he lunges forward, trying to carve a path through the pack. But he's starting to feel it. The constant dodging has drained his stamina immensely. He grits his teeth, knowing he has to finish this in one decisive blitz. He weaves through a storm of deadly, slashing claws, pushing his body to the edge. But his speed just isn't enough, and a brutal gash rips into his side. Ignoring the pain, he finally breaks through the front line, meeting the lunging support wolf head-on. A brilliant blue aura erupts around him as he counters, driving his sword forward with all his might. The blade sinks perfectly into the beast's chest, a clean and fatal strike. His powerful follow-through sends the monster's lifeless body flying backward. He's won the exchange, but the blue energy flickers as the pain from his own wound finally registers. But the berserk wolf is on another level, blasting him back with a savage red energy. He was so close. He realizes his current strength isn't enough. His sword needs to be faster, stronger. He must break through. In that moment of desperation, a memory of his family surfaces the people he's fighting to protect. Fueled by this resolve, he explodes into a blinding whirlwind of azure slashes. Outside the simulation, the spiky-haired examiner watches the monitor, a smug, satisfied smile spreading across his face. This isn't just a competition anymore. For Chengdu, this is the turning point of his entire life. He channels everything he has, unleashing an overwhelming torrent of pure blue power. But as the energy erupts, he feels that something about this sword strike is completely different. Back in the real world, his eyes widen in shock as a new, primal power awakens within him. And inside the game, the beast can only snarl, facing this sudden, terrifying evolution. The spiky-haired examiner sighs, thinking the fight is decided and it's time to call it. But just as he's about to end the test, his eyes snap wide open in utter disbelief. He can't believe what he's seeing. Chengdu is actually having a breakthrough. The boy's newfound power explodes into a swirling vortex of blue energy, completely shredding the beast. As the light fades, Chengdu lands, his sword practically vibrating with raw power. He feels the change immediately. The entire trajectory of his sword art is now stronger, more perfect. A system notification pops up, confirming his flowing light sword art has finally evolved. This incredible moment is broadcast live on the main screen in the school auditorium for all to see. An official from a rival school leaps to his feet, shouting that Chengdu's martial arts level just skyrocketed. But the examiner is focused on something else, realizing that by all logic, the boy should be far too exhausted to even stand. Back in the observation room, Limu narrows his eyes, sensing something is off. He points out that Chengdu's power is not just a breakthrough, it's being enhanced by a massive reserve of mental power, possibly near level 10. Wang Ongquan acknowledges the boy's staggering potential, but cautions that reaching the next major threshold is no easy task. Limu just laughs it off, saying for now, Chengdu is already an absolute monster in his own right. Meanwhile, at the exam site, another team arrives, pointing fingers and gossiping amongst themselves. A girl from the newly arrived team nervously asks her leader, Zhang Shuai, if their plan to snatch the badges will really work. He scoffs, explaining that he led the Liang City team right into the wolf den, knowing they'd be overwhelmed. With a sinister grin, he boasts that their badges are now untraceable, and there are no other teams or monsters left to interfere. All that's left is for his team to stroll in and pick up the 2 badges from the eliminated participants. His eyes glint with greed as he arrives at the scene, ready to collect his prize. His teammates are already singing his praises. Zhang Shuai's godlike tactics led them right to the aftermath. But while one of them gets a bad feeling, another excitedly spots their prize glimmering in the dark. The badges are right there, sitting atop the corpse of the massive alpha wolf. An easy score, practically gift-wrapped for them. They stroll into the clearing, casually remarking that the Liang City teacher must have been impressive to kill all these beasts. Still, the feeling of unease grows for one of them. Something about this perfect scene feels horribly wrong. And then he sees him, a lone figure emerging from the shadows, and the chilling realization hits. This is a trap. His arrogant friend just laughs it off, patting the dead wolf. There's no way that kid, Chengdu, did this alone. Chengdu doesn't bother with a verbal reply, instead answering with a blinding flash of power. He stands before the stunned scavengers, confirming their worst nightmare. He really did kill them all, and they've just volunteered to be next. But just as the tension peaks, a third team, led by Zhang Shuai, steps out from the trees. Chengdu smirks, unimpressed. He asks them how they figured out he wasn't eliminated. Zhang Shuai is floored by the question, but Chengdu lays out his simple deduction for them. The wounds on the wolves are clean slices, clearly made by a weapon. And as per the rules, team leaders are forbidden from carrying any. He realizes it was a simple detail he almost overlooked. He then casually picks up a badge from the corpse, asking where he can find Wu Zhang. Without a second thought, he tosses the valuable prize aside. He's not here for points. The rival student is stunned. Chengdu's only purpose for being here is to challenge Wu Zhang. He quickly explains they saw Wu Zhang's team heading in the opposite direction, hunting a different target. Chengdu glances at his own navigator, a grim realization dawning the official system is flawed. He knows Wu Zhang is nowhere near his original position, but must be close to a certain star mark. With that, Chengdu makes his move in a flash. He glides past the rival team, his command echoing behind him, "Leave the badges and get out." Zhang Shuai can't believe it. Is this guy seriously robbing them now? Chengdu turns back with a look of pure, unadulterated confidence. He says he's just thanking them for their kindness and pointing the way. A swift, almost invisible strike lashes out. His thank you leaves both of Zhang Shuai's teammates down for the count. One of the fallen students, Feng Liguo, cries out that he has no honor. But elsewhere, hidden in the bushes, the man himself, Wu Zhang, is completely lost. Chengdu hears their complaints about lacking martial ethics and scoffs. Just the Mi City team leader, nothing to worry about. A sly grin spreads across his face. This isn't dishonorable, it's just good old-fashioned deception. Meanwhile, Wu Zhang's team spots the aftermath from their hiding place, noticing the fallen students have the martial character badge. They completely misread the situation, thinking the other team was scheming against them and just made collecting the badges easier. Regrouping, Moret looks at his tracker with concern, asking Chengdu if he's really going after Wu Zhang in his current state. The question is serious. He saw the fight and knows Chengdu must be exhausted. But Chengdu calmly states he has no intention of fighting. His stamina is far too depleted for a top-tier expert. He reveals his true genius. He tracked Wu Zhang precisely to avoid him, and their incredible luck just handed them all the badges. With the objective complete, the teams begin to move out, carrying their weakened members through the forest. Chengdu pulls up his own map, setting a new course. It's time to head for the moon mark and end this first round. He lays out a new, much longer path on the holographic map for them to follow. Moret immediately questions the logic, asking why they're suddenly taking a huge detour. Chengdu begins to unravel the test's true nature, explaining how the safe deposit locations were always a lie. The pieces start clicking into place for his teammates as they listen. Moret realizes with a jolt that the real danger wasn't the destination, but the path to get there. The entire forest, Chengdu reveals, is a death trap designed to force teams into wolf dens or into conflict with each other. This isn't just about collecting badges. It's a brutal competition where only the truly strong can hope to survive the journey. He warns them that until they cross that finish line, they cannot relax for even a moment. A grim understanding settles over his teammates. They now see the full picture. With renewed focus, the team silently melts back into the woods, following their leader's path. But just as they press on, a new figure deliberately steps into their path, blocking the way forward. Chengdu and his team stop dead in their tracks, a cold sweat breaking out. Damn it. Not now. Of all the rotten luck, they've run into the infamous High City team, a squad known for its perfect-level experts. The blonde swordsman sizes them up, a flicker of interest in his eyes as he senses a familiar power signature, a Tier 1 perfect. Moret leans in, his voice low, confirming their worst fears. That immense sword intent can only belong to Ku Zhongtian. Wasting no time on pleasantries, Ku Zhongtian slams his massive case down, unleashing a furious storm of flying blades. Yet Chengdu stands his ground, unflinching as the metal swarm closes in, his team poised for battle behind him. But before the attack can land, a calm voice orders Ku Zhongtian to stop. It's his teammate, Zhou Xiaogu. She gestures towards the bloodstains on Chengdu, deducing they just fought off BB wolves. A fight now would be an unfair victory. With a confident smirk, she notes her surprise at finding another Tier 1 perfect, besides Wu Zhang, vowing to eliminate them both later. She boasts that her High City team has been champion for 9 years and is destined for a 10th. As they depart, Chengdu can only scoff at her supposed demeanor of a great hero. He vividly remembers this hero brutally beating his in-game avatar without a shred of mercy. Even her teammate, Ku Zhongtian, praises her ruthless style of finishing off weakened opponents. But Zhou Xiaogu frantically shushes him, worried about ruining her noble image on the live broadcast. Later that night, back at the hotel, the day's battles are finally over. Chengdu finishes his daily mental power training, his mind calm and focused. He checks the results, 50 teams remain, and he calculates he needs to eliminate 4 more competitors tomorrow. His current mental power is level 9, but he's confident the next monster wave will push him to level 10. With that qualitative leap in power, he knows becoming the undisputed champion is within his grasp. His goal is clear: reach level 10 spiritual power and become the undisputed champion. With his resolve set, Chengdu logs back into the virtual battlefield. A system notification chimes in his mind. The 7th wave has officially begun. Deep, guttural roars echo as monstrous, bear-like creatures begin to materialize. Even from the real world, his focus is absolute as the new challenge appears. He watches the towering silhouettes form, recognizing this is a far greater threat. The system identifies the beast, a level 7, two-faced three-bladed bear. It lunges, and Chengdu meets its massive blade with his own. The immense power of the blow forces him to immediately rethink his strategy. He twists away, the shock of the monster's strength clear on his face. He grits his teeth, realizing now why they call it the two-faced bear. The monster's massive arm blade cleaves through the air where he just stood. Chengdu flips backward, narrowly dodging the devastating follow-up strike. He steels himself, knowing he must eliminate this beast tonight to level up for tomorrow. So he dives in, sword first, aiming straight for the creature's neck. But the bear doesn't even flinch, letting the blade glance off. Not a weak point. He adjusts his angle, bringing his sword down on its head, but gets the same result. A flicker of confusion crosses his face. This isn't working. Even a direct thrust toward its heart is met with total indifference. This thing, it just attacks, never defends. So where is its weakness? The beast brings its massive claw down, but Chengdu doesn't even flinch. Instead, he meets the blow head-on, his sword glowing as he deflects the strike. Then he sees it, a flicker of movement from behind. The tail it's dodging on its own? A light bulb goes off. The monster isn't invulnerable, it's just protecting its real weak point. So he baits it, launching a high attack he knows will be blocked, drawing its attention upward. With the beast's guard committed, he drops low, reversing his grip for a powerful spin. His blade finds its true target, sinking deep into the monster's now exposed tail. A clean slice severs the appendage, and for the first time, the beast roars in genuine agony. Standing over his prize, Chengdu knows this was more than a hunt. It was a message. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a certain teacher is being summoned, completely oblivious to the night's events. A coach from a rival team quizzes his ace, Ku Zongtian, about the boy from Liang City. The intel drops like a bomb. That boy's name is Chengdu, and he's now their single biggest obstacle. The report continues with a chilling detail. Chengdu single-handedly cleared a medium-sized wolf den. The news even reaches their trump card, Zhou Xiaogu, who can't believe her ears. The coach clarifies that, while he's not at the limit, he has reached the crucial qualitative change stage. Ku Zhongtian explodes in disbelief. That means this nobody is on the same martial level as Xiaogu. The coach's eyes narrow, his warning clear. Stay vigilant. He then puts Xiaogu on the spot about her chances. Without a word, she peels off her face mask, her leisurely demeanor vanishing completely. A smirk plays on her lips as she declares with absolute certainty that Haicheng's 10th championship is guaranteed. And as the sun rises on a new day, the stage is set for this inevitable clash of titans. The day of the second round begins, and the rules are laid out on a massive screen. An official steps forward to explain the new system. A brutal one. V1 single elimination tournament. They'll be cutting the field from 150 contestants all the way down to the final 10 in a single day. He reveals a strategic twist. The faster you win, the quicker you'll be seeded into the next round. Chengdu quietly processes this, noting his team's number meant they were the fourth to qualify. And just like that, the first matchup flashes across the screen, featuring some of the competition's biggest names. The crowd absolutely loses it. It's Haicheng's ace, Zhou Xiaogu, versus Lu Cheng's trump card, Musashi. A dark, predatory grin spreads across Musashi's face, clearly relishing the challenge. But Xiaogu simply scoffs, looking down on her opponent with unshakable, almost bored, confidence. The audience buzzes, realizing that even with this insane opener, monsters like Chengdu and Ku Zongtian are still waiting in the wings. From the sidelines, Chengdu watches with a flicker of genuine interest. His eyes narrow, analyzing the two titans about to clash. On the stage, Zhou Xiaogu appears as an announcement levels the playing field, suppressing both fighters to level 5. She stands opposite her opponent, Musashi, the tension in the air already palpable. With a hungry grin, Musashi admits he's been waiting a long time to fight her. Xiaogu just scoffs, coolly replying that he could have come to her school anytime he wanted a beating. But he's not just here for a simple duel. He's here to shatter her 10-match winning streak and prove she isn't invincible. Unfazed, she simply tells him he'd better start believing, as purple energy erupts from her hands. Their first moves are a blur of motion, a clash of steel and raw power. And in a brilliant flash of blue and violet light, their blades meet, the opening exchange rocking the entire arena. As the dust settles, the screen updates, showing both fighters at an insane 90% martial skill index. The crowd is baffled, but someone explains the new protective suits are calculating their skill in real time. Musashi wastes no time, unleashing a vicious wave of bright blue energy. But Xiaogu is already in the air, effortlessly dodging and preparing her own counter. His skill index ticks up to 92%, and he grins, bracing himself for her retaliation. She dives in with a quick jab, a simple feint to test his defenses. Musashi reads her instantly, realizing she's baiting him, her true strike aimed elsewhere. With a flash of insight in her eyes, she pivots, unleashing a devastating whirlwind of power. Her skill index skyrockets to a mind-boggling 99%, and Musashi's confidence shatters. He has to dodge this. He desperately parries, his own skill jumping to 95%, but it's not enough to stop the crushing force of her attack. The force of her blow actually injured his shoulder, yet Musashi can only laugh manically. He's genuinely impressed by her strength, but in the stands, Chengdu is utterly confused. He can't even identify their basic martial skills, while Xiaogu smirks, promising this is just the beginning. Suddenly, Musashi's blade flares with a strange purple light as he meets her next assault. His eyes narrow, sensing her technique has fundamentally changed since their last exchange. She explodes with a storm of attacks, her dagger now a blur as she completely overwhelms him. The examiner beside Chengdu finally explains why he never mentioned the final 1% of skill mastery. He asks a cryptic question. Did Chengdu really think the next step after 99% was 100? As Xiaogu continues her impossible assault, he reveals the name for this stage: comprehension by analogy. It is the ultimate mark of mastery, using a new weapon to execute your old foundational skills perfectly. To demonstrate, the examiner reveals Musashi's basic martial art is the cloak hammer technique. But it's Xiaogu who unleashes its first form, the chaotic cloak hammers. She's using a light sword to perfectly mimic the four forms of a heavy, powerful hammer technique. And as Chengdu watches in disbelief, he learns the next step is intent, making it impossible for an opponent to tell what your real skill is. In a flash, she counters with another of Musashi's own moves, even though her true foundation is the Holy King's staff technique. She effortlessly bats aside his afterimages, her concentration unwavering. Her eyes narrow, seeing right through the high-speed illusion. She's found him. In the next moment, her blade is at his throat. His speed trick was no match for her perception. But instead of fear, Musashi just smirks, genuinely impressed by her skill. This is the challenge he wanted, and with a savage grin, he readies his next attack. She unleashes another devastating hammer technique, a whirlwind of icy energy meant to overwhelm him. Spotting what looks like a fatal flaw in his stance, she lunges forward to end the match. But that arrogant grin tells the real story. It wasn't a gap, it was a trap. Zhou Xiaoga's eyes widen in disbelief. He's caught her blade with his bare hand. A system alert screams as Musashi's power spikes to 99.9%, and a pillar of raw energy erupts from him. When the light fades, the entire arena is shrouded in dust, with one figure left standing. The crowd erupts in panic, utterly confused. Did Zhou Xiaogu, the undefeated prodigy, just lose? But just a moment before, we see Musashi's eyes glowing red with killing intent. He was waiting for this, ready to steal her title of invincibility for himself. From the stands, Chengdu feels the pressure wave and breaks into a cold sweat, thankful he didn't face that monster. But from the dust, a flash of blue energy signals this fight is far from over. Refusing to yield, Zhou Xiaogu unleashes the final stance of her ultimate technique. A cataclysmic torrent of spiritual power erupts from her body. Musashi can only stare in disbelief as a massive wave of energy crashes down upon him. With eyes blazing, she proves that her title of invincibility wasn't just a rumor. The system confirms it. Tier 1 limit, 100%. A feat of a true prodigy, unheard of at her age. And just like that, the tables turn completely, forcing a stunned Musashi to admit his defeat. Up in the stands, Chengdu slumps in his seat, comically disappointed he won't get an easy match now. Even the officials are shocked, as her father reveals they've been hiding her true power all along. The principal just smirks, realizing they kept this ace up their sleeve to avoid shattering the other students' spirits. University scouts in the stands can't help but be impressed, noting that Zhou Xiaogu is truly outstanding. Down below, she stands as the undisputed winner, the arena still humming with her power. The scouts sigh, lamenting that they were too slow to recruit Wu Zhang and are now desperate for another genius. Chengdu overhears them from the crowd. So, they only want geniuses, huh? He files that away. With one incredible match over, the tournament moves on to the next duel. But after that display, the crowd is already bored, finding the subsequent rookie fights almost unbearable to watch. Then, the next matchup is announced, and the energy in the stadium instantly changes. It's Chengdu's turn. A wave of excitement rips through the audience as they recognize his name, the guy who soloed the Wolf Den. Chengdu calmly rises from his seat, the moment he's been waiting for finally here. His opponent is revealed. Zhu Darren, the fighter ranked number 2 with the highest combat power from the trials. Chengdu looks on, a small, confident smile playing on his lips. This should be interesting. His opponent, Zhu Darren, sighs dramatically, claiming the other top students are such freaks that he can only hope to scrape into the top 10. Chengdu just smirks, finding the false modesty amusing. Oh, just the top 10? He seems pretty sure of himself. Zhu Darren finally turns, acknowledging Chengdu's reputation for soloing the Wolf Den, calling it an amazing feat. But then comes the jab. He wonders just how much of that power Chengdu has left for today's fight. Not one for small talk, Chengdu explodes forward, his blade flashing in an instant. Their swords clash with a deafening ring, locking the two fighters in a contest of pure strength. Suddenly, the system reveals their stats, and the audience gasps. Chengdu is also at Tier 1, 90%, another hidden expert. Zhu Darren's face twists into a menacing grin, feeling the pressure. He taunts Chengdu for trying to end it so quickly, asking if he lacks the stamina. Then, he prepares his counter, unleashing the first stance of his Muramasa blade technique, Invisible Edge. A system window pops up, revealing Zhu Darren's martial arts index is at a stunning 96% as he forces Chengdu back. He follows through with a powerful, sweeping slash, confident in his superior technique. But Chengdu is already analyzing him, realizing it's a simple, strength-based style with a clear weakness. It lacks flexibility. Zhu Darren smirks, thinking his plan is working perfectly to wear down the supposedly injured Chengdu. What he doesn't know is that thanks to the crystal space, Chengdu is at full power, and he has no time for games. Our boy knows there are no ifs in battle. This needs to end now. Zhu Darren scoffs, seeing Chengdu preparing a simple thrust. Does he really think such a basic move will work? He prepares to meet it head-on, unleashing his Muramasa Blade's fourth stance. Crescent Moon Sky Piercer. But Chengdu's technique is far from simple. It's the flowing light sword art's second stance, a golden dragon rising to the heavens. The clash is over in an instant, and the results are in. Chengdu's martial arts index is an unbelievable 99.3%. Judarin stares in disbelief, his hand literally crumbling from the sheer force of Chengdu's attack. Chengdu isn't finished, trapping his opponent by painting the very ground as a prison. Standing over the defeated swordsman, he makes it clear, running into him meant his tournament dreams were over. But even in victory, Chengdu's mind is elsewhere, already calculating how to deal with a certain powerful woman. Meanwhile, a pair of scouts analyze his data, noting that his high martial arts score must be compensating for something. The white-haired scout sighs in disappointment. Chengdu's mental power is only level 9, just shy of awakening a martial soul. His partner clarifies their purpose. They're hunting for geniuses fit for the elite Qilin class, and the entry bar is incredibly high. They conclude that while Chengdu's stats aren't perfect, he's still a far better prospect than the now-defeated Judarin. The scout decides they'll approach Chengdu tonight, hoping to get him to sign a letter of intent. As night falls, the second round is officially over, and Chengdu's sister is buzzing with excitement for the finals. Back in his room, Chengdu reflects on his clever use of the tournament rules to avoid fighting Zhou Xiaogu. But his real focus is on growth. He knows that only actual combat will truly raise his life strength. So, he dives right back into the game, ready to grind and sharpen his skills against new monsters. And his hard work immediately pays off as a notification confirms his life strength has ticked up from 5.8 to 5.9. He clenches his fist, realizing the Bibi Wolf fight and the tournament duels were the catalysts he needed. With this newfound power, he immediately seeks out a new challenge, a nest of formidable insectoid creatures. A confident smirk spreads across his face. He'll use these monsters to test out his brand new 0.1 power increase. But just as he's getting in the zone, a sudden noise from the real world breaks his concentration. His phone buzzes on the bed, lighting up with an unexpected message from Teacher Ling. Cautiously, he cracks open his door, wondering what could possibly be so important at this hour. Stepping inside, he finds not just Teacher Ling, but two mysterious men waiting for him in a hotel room. Teacher Ling introduces them as recruiters from the Special Recruitment Office of Qilin Martial Arts University. Chengdu's mind reels. Qilin University is one of the top 3 institutions in the entire world. The scouts explain they're here to recruit for the legendary Qilin class, where the school's strongest are forged. Hess immediately skeptical, pointing out that he doesn't meet the insane recruitment requirements he's heard about. The capped recruiter smirks, realizing Chengdu hasn't been told about the system of hidden treasures. He begins to explain that when a person becomes a martial artist, a single hidden treasure automatically opens. But, if someone meets one of the university's extreme requirements, they can unlock a second treasure simultaneously. And for a prodigy who meets both requirements, an incredible 3 hidden treasures can be opened at once. With 10 treasures in total, acting like powerful passive skills, Chengdu finally grasps the true scale of his potential. The scout grins, explaining that while 2 treasures make a genius, a triple treasure wielder is a peerless one. The other recruiter lays out the offer, a C-rank letter of intent, a reserve spot for the Qilin class. They'll even provide $1 million in resources, upfront pills, training partners, the works. And if he meets the requirements before enrolling, the contract upgrades, and he gets a direct shot at the main class. But Chengdu has only one question on his mind, one that will decide everything. Can his family come too? The scout's answer is a firm no. For safety, only commissioned martial artists can travel freely. With that, Chengdu's mind is made up. He politely tells them he already has a school in mind. The 2 recruiters are absolutely floored. Did he get a better offer from Black Dragon or Heavenly Phoenix? Chengdu calmly reveals his choice, Huangshan Martial Arts University, one of the top 8 schools. The scout reels back in disbelief. Losing to a rival is one thing, but to a school from a lower tier? That's an insult. But Chengdu's reasoning is simple. With monsters everywhere, he must stay to protect his family. The scout desperately tries to make him see reason, explaining the astronomical odds of getting into their Qilin class. He argues that to truly protect anyone, a genius like Chengdu needs the influence and power only they can provide. But his words are wasted. Chengdu bows his head slightly, thanking them for the offer, but firmly passing on the contract. With the recruiters gone, Chengdu turns to Teacher Ling, perhaps expecting a lecture for turning down such a huge opportunity. Instead, his teacher just smiles, offering simple advice. Walk the path you choose, and do your best in the competition. But internally, Teacher Ling sighs, realizing he'll have to talk to the principal to find another way to persuade the boy. Elsewhere, at the Zhou family training ground, Zhou Xiaogu is immersed in her own rigorous training. With a powerful swing of her staff, she unleashes a torrent of crackling blue energy. But something goes terribly wrong, and she cries out as an unexpected force overwhelms her. Her father's hand clamps down on her staff, halting the frantic training. He calmly tells her she's been swinging at him for 3 hours straight and needs to rest. A flashback shows even as a child, she'd throw a fit, vowing to one day defeat her stupid dad. Back in the present, he offers her a drink, reminding her to focus on winning the championship tomorrow. Her pout vanishes, replaced by a smirk as she promises victory, claiming she has plenty of trump cards left to play. The next day, the competition begins at the Grand High City First High School Auditorium. As Chengdu walks the halls with Teacher Ling, he feels a sudden, intense gaze upon him. He glances over his shoulder, his senses already tingling with the unwanted attention. Up above, 2 men watch him, one of them remarking on Chengdu's incredible level 9 spirit perception. Teacher Ling leans in, informing him that Principal Li and the heads of various other schools are all here specifically to watch him. An announcer congratulates the top 10 finalists as Chengdu listens intently, the rules for the final stage being laid out. The tournament is split into 2 rounds. First, 5 1v1 matches, then a brutal gauntlet match for the 5 winners. Chengdu immediately processes the system, realizing there's a way for one fighter to dominate the scoreboard completely. If the first challenger in the gauntlet sweeps all 4 opponents, they'll rack up a massive point advantage. He knows stamina will be key. The matchups flash on screen, and the crowd buzzes. Chengdu is pitted against a top student from the reigning champion school, High City. He instantly sees their strategy. They might try to drain his energy in the very first round, sacrificing their own player to weaken him for the finals. 2 of the High City students smirk from the stands, absolutely certain their senior will crush Chengdu and secure their 10th championship. But high in the stands, a scout in a fedora looks bored, wondering if there's even a point to watching these predictable finals. Beside him, another scout with long white hair clutches a card, planning to offer Chengdu $1 million as an investment after his inevitable loss. He sees a kid with talent and a good heart, just lacking resources, and as he voices his high hopes, Chengdu enters the arena alone, ready to fight. His opponent enters the arena, Ku Zhongtian, a prodigy who crushed his previous matches in single sword strikes. Chengdu recalls watching him, unable to gauge his true skill level since he only used basic martial arts. He steels himself, deciding to observe his opponent's moves before committing to a strategy. But Ku Zhongtian grins, telling Chengdu he knew this battle between them was inevitable. In a flash, he draws his massive sword, the speed of the attack catching everyone by surprise. Chengdu's eyes widen in disbelief as he parries his opponent is using the flowing light sword art. Ku Zhongtian confirms it, admitting he was equally shocked to see Chengdu use the same style yesterday. With their blades locked, he sees an opportunity for a true contest. He proposes they decide the winner with raw strength and power, a pure duel between masters of the same art. And as their swords clash, Chengdu feels the staggering force, realizing Ku Zhongtian is going all out from the very first second. The spectators are in awe. Both fighters are perfectly matched, their martial arts index a staggering 99%. But Ku Zhongtian roars, putting more force into his swing, declaring that this is far from over. Chengdu grits his teeth, barely holding back the overwhelming power radiating from his opponent's blade. He can't understand it. Ku Zhongtian's martial arts should have already hit their absolute limit. Analyzing the clash, Ku Zhongtian realizes Chengdu isn't using a pure mastery of the art, but some kind of spirit power attachment. The system seems to agree, as Ku Zhongtian's own index shockingly ticks up past the supposed maximum. Chengdu understands this can't be a drawn-out battle. He needs to conserve his stamina for the rest of the tournament. Seeing the shift in his opponent's eyes, Ku Zhongtian smirks, asking if he's finally ready to attack. Chengdu promises to end this in an instant, a boast Ku Zhongtian is eager to test as he unleashes the Azure Dragon's Pierce. In a flash, Chengdu explodes forward, a streak of blue light aiming to finish the fight in a single, decisive blow. But Ku Zhongtian just scoffs, thinking a head-on rush like that has no real killing power. He's forced to eat his words as Chengdu instantly shifts into the second form, Golden Shock reaching the heavens. Before he can even fully process it, Chengdu is already on him with the third form, Clear Forest Breeze. A quiet goodbye slips from Chengdu's lips. The match is already over in his mind. In a brilliant flash of blue energy, his sword slices cleanly through his opponent's guard. Ku Zhongtian freezes in disbelief, staring down at the tear in his uniform, unable to comprehend what just happened. As Chengdu casually rests his sword on his shoulder, A system notification declares the impossible. Martial Arts Index, 100%. He's achieved the legendary limit martial art. In the stands, the students are utterly dumbfounded, having never seen such a perfect score in their lives. The shock quickly turns to a roar of excitement. This dark horse, Chengdu, had been hiding his true power all along. Kuzong Tian can only stare, the name Chengdu catching in his throat. He realizes with dawning horror, that wasn't just skill, that was the Tier 4 limit. With a casual wave, Chengdu turns his back and leaves, the victory announcement echoing behind him. He smirks to himself. His opponent was trying to get intel, but he gave him nothing. In the stands, the principal is absolutely losing it, calculating the impossible leap from 99% to 100% in a single day. The old scout in the cap puts two and two together, wondering if it could really be that. But his white-haired companion dismisses the thought it's too exaggerated. A feat of legend. He then turns to his friend, surprised they came all this way without telling him. Just then, another figure joins them. It's Zhao's father, greeting them with a warm smile. He congratulates the capped scout, casually mentioning his daughter's acceptance into the top martial arts university. He acknowledges Chengdu is quite outstanding, noting the upcoming matches will be very interesting. In the stands, however, the Haicheng students are filled with anxiety. With their other seniors defeated, all their hopes now ride on Zhou Xiaogu. She enters the arena, staff held ready, facing down her next opponent. He smirks behind his shield, confident his near-perfect defense just has to wait for an opening. But waiting is not on Zhou Xiaogu's agenda. In a flash, she closes the distance, her staff crackling with purple energy for a single, decisive blow. Her eyes are cold and focused, the outcome already a certainty in her mind. The match is over, her name echoing as her opponent's shield and his pride are utterly shattered. Her supporters erupt, their fears forgotten as they praise her 1-second victory, already declaring her superior to Chengdu. But as the first round ends, the real test begins, the gauntlet match. The crowd is already convinced the championship belongs to Zhou Xiaogu. She steps forward, staff in hand, radiating an aura of absolute dominance. With a confident smirk, she decides who she'll challenge first, and the name she calls out is none other than Liangcheng Squad's Chengdu. He cracks a slight smile, impressed by her strength and audacity. This is exactly what he wanted, a true test of his own power. Without a moment's hesitation, she powers up, her martial arts index hitting 100%. Chengdu feels it instantly, an incredible intent behind her move as he grips his sword. She unleashes her ultimate skill, the Holy King Staff's fourth style, ready to flood the arena. The wave of spiritual energy crashes down, but Chengdu stands firm against the tide. With his own martial arts index hitting 100%, he carves a path right through her attack. Zhou Xiaogu is impressed. She knew he had some skill, but this confirms it. But Chengdu isn't just matching her power. A strange, brilliant blue aura begins to envelop him. The spectators murmur in confusion, wondering what this new power is. Teacher Ling, however, just smirks with pride. He knew this moment was coming. In the stands, a veteran scout realizes with a jolt that it's not just spiritual power, it's evolved. Chengdu's soul has already advanced into a martial soul, a stage far beyond his peers. Done playing defense, he decides it's his turn to strike first, his blade a blur of motion. Zhou Xiaogu's confident expression shatters. His speed is suddenly on a whole other level. He lunges forward, his blade a streak of pure blue energy. Spinning with impossible grace, he pivots, not giving her a single inch to breathe. Zhou Xiaogu barely manages to parry, the impact rattling her to the core. It's not just his speed. She realizes the sheer weight behind his strikes has increased tenfold. Chengdu continues his relentless assault, pressing his newfound advantage. She struggles to keep up, her confidence completely shaken by this sudden turn of events. And in that brief moment of desperation, his eyes narrow. He's found a flaw. With a deft twist of his wrist, he locks her weapon, perfectly exploiting her opening. Her perfect stance shatters, her center of gravity completely thrown off. He knows this is it. With her rhythm broken, he moves in to end the match. But Zhou Xiaogu refuses to yield, desperately trying to convince herself she can still win this. Chengdu, however, is filled with a newfound certainty. He knows he can beat the undefeated prodigy. In the stands, the principal is absolutely floored, realizing Chengdu was hiding a level 10 mental power. His professional shock quickly morphs into wild, unrestrained cheering for his dark horse student. The university scouts are already scrambling, deciding they'll have to shamelessly offer him a B-class contract. Zhou's father overhears this. Completely baffled, he had no idea Chengdu had already been scouted and refused. The other scout seizes the moment, smugly asking how he can stay so calm while his daughter is about to lose. With a calm smile, Her father simply remarks that if nothing unexpected happens, then something unexpected is definitely about to happen, as her weapon begins to crack and glow with a golden light. The sudden surge of power catches Chengdu by surprise. Her strength and speed are on a completely different level now. Zhou Xiaogu smirks, condescendingly admitting that he's quite good, a genius even by her father's harsh standards. But she's quick to remind him that she is a genius among geniuses, and he's about to see the difference. In a flash of insight, Chengdu understands what he's facing. A rare Tier 1, limit martial art, a martial soul, combined with her level 10 mental power. With her true power unleashed, she swings her staff, bathing the arena in a torrent of blue energy. Chengdu doesn't flinch, instead focusing all his senses, pushing his own speed faster and faster to meet the blow. Their weapons collide with a piercing shriek of metal, sparks flying from the point of impact. He plants his feet, absorbing the full, crushing weight of her ultimate attack without giving an inch. And just like that, Zhou Xiaogu's arrogant confidence shatters into pure, unfiltered disbelief. He doesn't just block, he begins to push back, overwhelming her with raw power. His feet grind against the stage floor, and her confident expression finally cracks. The torrent of blue energy from her ultimate attack is now being forced back onto her. Inch by agonizing inch, his sword slides down the shaft of her weapon. He leans in with a smirk, mocking her fading strength, asking if she's out of energy already. Flustered, she tries to regain her composure, declaring that it's over for him. But he just smiles, calmly telling her that she doesn't get to make that call. Her eyes widen in dawning horror as she feels a completely different power gathering. Blue lightning erupts from his eyes as he unleashes a mental shockwave of his own.